Good evening, this is BelGeode, and we are back with some more DoveTail Games Flight Sim World. This is another mad scientist experiment that I am doing today. So if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you should know by now that the last series of videos that I put up were from FSX, and they were a Jamaican tour that I did in the Iris Simulations T6A Texan. Well, in the last episode of that tour, I said that my next video was going to be a Flight Sim World version of the same thing. We might not do the entire tour where we literally go all the way around the island, but I'm going to do a pretty decent chunk of it and try to condense it down into one video, so there may be some editing involved in this here. But just to explain what we're doing today, I do have the T6 Texan working in FS World, but of course, since a lot of the gauges, in fact all of the gauges are 32-bit, it has some issues, shall we say. Now, of course, my other favorite aircraft, which you're looking at right now, is the Lotus Sims L-39. I was able to get this one in, and because it's got less digital quote-unquote gauges, everything's more analog, it seems to work a lot better. We still can't touch anything in the cockpit, but again, you know, that's something to be expected with the transition into Flight Sim World. So, we are going to be using the Albatros, which is considerably faster than the T6 Texan, for our half a Jamaican tour and test today. And then the other really cool thing that I want to show you, that I figured out how to add to Flight Sim World, I will show you once we hop in the cockpit. So, let's get to it. Okay, so we are in the sim, and let me just take a moment here to remove this menu bar. Incidentally, DoveTail, if you could make it so that menu bar disappears just straight off the bat, by default we'll leave it off, and then if we want to see it, we can see it, because there's really nothing on the menu bar of any real interest. I mean, we've got the views, we've got the options, but we've got half the options up there, so there's kind of no point having it there. Alright, so here we are in Montego Bay, just like we were in FSX, except of course we've got a different aircraft this time. So this is the same FREEWARE Donald Sangster International Airport. We also have all of Chris Z's airports imported here into Flight Sim World, and I also have SceneryTech's Landclass, so you can notice that the buildings look a little bit different. Now, a word of note about the buildings, it's still running whatever the default setup is. So I believe that's what, Orbix buildings that are in the default FS World. So you should see that, and the trees should also be pulling from Orbix, as well as whatever other source the Landclass file comes with. I don't know that the Landclass file even comes with actual graphic sources. I think it just tells the sim, hey, in this section of the world, put palm trees. That's pretty much it. Alright, but the other thing that I promised to show you is a little thing that I decided to experiment with in Flight Sim World. Now, as you know, I've been using MasterEffect with ReShade. In particular, ReShade. ReShade is the kind of graphical engine that allows you to make tweaks to the shading, the colors, and so on and so forth. It's how I did the heat shimmer on one of the videos that I did with the Tomcat. I was able to get this thing working in Flight Sim World. So, without further ado, ta-da! Look at that! Okay, all of a sudden the colors are a little bit more vibrant, the shadows are a little bit deeper. This is, of course, my personal preference. The MasterEffect file that I have in there can be edited, so pretty much you can do whatever you'd like with it. The bloom is a little bit more noticeable, so on and so forth. We'll see it when I get into some of the other camera views there. Alright, but the idea behind this is I wanted to make Flight Sim World pop a little bit more, and hopefully it'll give the developers some ideas on extra graphical options that they can give us, the end user, whether they want to build it in or if they want to work with the guys that put together ReShade and see if they can get that done. I would also love to see incorporation with stuff like chase plane, because honestly the default views, as you can see, were kind of limited here. Okay, so now that we have the sim looking more vibrant, let's go take a quick fly here. Alright, so I am in the cockpit and I feel kind of naked without my chase plane, but thankfully I've got Shift-O, which is the default mouse look key, so we'll go ahead and press that. There we go. So now I can actually move my mouse around or my mouse stick on the throttle side of my SceneryTech X52. And there we go. We got a little bit better view here. Okay, now just like before, any aircraft that you import in from FSX, you cannot touch anything in the cockpit. However, if you've got keyboard shortcuts or joystick shortcuts, those will still work. The GPS, however, does not work, but I was able to slave the GPS from another aircraft. I want to say it might have been the Seneca, maybe? It might have been the Seneca. So we actually do have GPS here. You'll see in the lower right corner. And our plan is in fact loaded in. Alright, but we won't worry about the GPS for right now. Let's go ahead and get everything started with the default engine start command, which I believe is, what is that, Shift-C? No, Control-C. Okay, so we'll give ye old Albatros a little moment here to get up to speed. While that's going on, let me go ahead and turn the lights on and make sure the bloom is working. Can't really see it that well from inside the cockpit, but yes, everything should be on. Okay, engines are up and running. Let me do a quick controls wipeout here. Okay, so you'll notice when we went to the roof of the aircraft, you could see a bit more glow to it. That's the kind of stuff that ReShade adds to it, which is why I really wanted to experiment with it to see how it would look. I also love the way that the sky and the cloud colors look as well. I think that is a great area that DoveTail has specialized in, and I'd love to see some more work done with that. Alright, brakes are off. Let's go ahead and head to runway 7. We will forego contacting the tower because I still have issues with the ATC. DoveTail, I know you put a lot of work into it, but I just don't like how it sounds. Look at this jackass here. What are you doing, sir? Seriously? Get the hell off the taxiway. There he goes. Alright, well, before he comes back the other way, let's see if we can get over to runway 7 and get the heck out of here. Okay, so I did say we are going to do a half a Jamaican tour. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fly from Montego Bay to Ocho Rios. That would be Ian Fleming International Airport, formerly known as Boscobel. I will still refer to it as Boscobel because honestly I prefer that name. No slam against Ian Fleming. I love James Bond, one of my favorite book and movie series. However, Boscobel just sounds more Jamaican, so we'll roll with that. Alright, let's check for traffic. Nothing to the left. Nothing to the right. We have, of course, no airliner traffic. I was toying with the idea of bringing in some of my World of AI planes to see if they play nice with Flight Sim World, but I haven't gotten around to doing that yet, so it is what it is. You did see some AI back there. That's the default Flight Sim World AI, which of course is all GA. Alright, so let's go ahead and taxi out here. Just like I did in the FSX video, the plan is to take off and then swing around, take a look at Montego Bay from the sky, and then head on our way towards Ochi. That's what we nicknamed it, Ochi. Ocho Rios. Okay, brakes down, throttles up. Alright, rotate speed coming up. Speed 1, speed R, V2. You definitely do not want to do a steep ascent in this thing, otherwise it will complain badly. But we are just about over 1,000 feet, so let's begin our turn to the right and take a look at Mobay. Let me start bringing her down here. We're at about 6,000. We might take it up to between 8 and 10,000. Might as well just call it 9,000. I don't want to get too high because this thing does model hypoxia, so I don't want to get us into a situation where we black out and lose all control. But I can turn off the landing lights, so go ahead and do that real quick. And let's go ahead and swing around. I love the way the ocean looks when ReShade is on. That is pretty cool. And then of course the atmospheric lighting and atmospheric scattering and even the clouds. With the exception of some of the wispy ones, I think that is an artifact introduced by my having ReShade. That is not reflective on default Flight Sim world. There's Montego Bay again. And let's swing around. There we go. Okay, so we're at about 9,000 right now. Let's see if we can trim her out for level flight. It might be a little too much trim there. Okay, there we go. Our speed is pretty much set, so we just need to keep her level here. Alright, and let's take a look outside and see how ReShade is treating us. Okay, so we got the little GPS map up now, and let me zoom it out a bit because Jamaica is kind of long. Okay, and we do have a little bit of stuttering here and there, but I believe that is most likely due to it loading up a lot of autogen off in the distance. So we do have the areas of Ocho Rios, and then of course on the south side of the island we have Kingston. It's all being loaded up. So every now and then I still do get stutters a little bit, but it's not too bad. It's really not too bad. One of the projects that I'd like to see if I can pull off is whether or not I can get stuff like AI carriers to work. Of course, I'll be using the Tomcat with that one because, well, you might as well use a carrier-capable craft. But that won't come for a little while here. Right now, my main concern was just making sure that ReShade plays nicely with Flight Sim World, which, as you can see, it most definitely does. And remember, the settings that I have are my own personal preference. This is what I feel looks good, but because ReShade with MasterEffect is so customizable, you can change just about anything for your own personal tastes. I will try to remember to put a link for the version that I'm using. And actually, that does bring to mind a very good point. The version of ReShade that I'm using is actually version 2.0. It's 2.0 point something something something. It'll be in the video description below. However, if you go to the ReShade page, they're going to ask you to download the latest version, which is version 3.0.7, I want to say. Do not download that version. That version does not work with Flight Sim World. Come to think of it, it doesn't work with FSX either, and I'm not even sure if it works with P3D. So yes, you want version 2. Version 2 should do you just nicely. And if possible, try to get the version that also has MasterEffect. MasterEffect is a deprecated addition to ReShade. It's really not a part of the ReShade package if you get ReShade 3, but if you're getting ReShade 2, I would highly recommend that you get the very latest MasterEffect, which I believe is version 1.2 point something. It never got upgraded past that. The guy who made it stopped doing it, so that is all we will ever have for MasterEffect. But suffice to say, I love it, and just about every flight simulation video that you've seen, at least from the likes of Microsoft or DoveTail Games, is going to be with ReShade, unless there's a particular reason why I opt not to have ReShade running on that particular episode. Alright, so there we go. And they say, on a clear day, you can see Cuba. Let's see if that is true. Holy crap, it is. Look at that. See those mountains over there that just appeared and then disappeared? That is Cuba. That is the southern tip of Cuba. It is that close to Jamaica. Of course, the same thing would happen if we were flying in Key West. You can see Cuba to the south, so yeah, that's pretty neat. I'm just glad that the sim will actually render out that far. I think that's probably one of the best things with this whole move to 64-bit that everything's doing, is the fact that you can render out further. Of course, the downside, remember those little stutters that I was telling you about? While it's rendering out further, it's also rendering everything at one time. So yeah, that's what causes that to happen. Right now we seem to be doing pretty good though, so I am going to go back to the outside view and see how close we are to Ocho Rios. I want to say that is it down below, but I don't see the telltale cruise liners, so we might have to get a little up close and personal here to see if we can locate it. Let me zoom in here with the magic binoculars. Aha! Yes, I do see a cruise ship. There she is. Okay. So that should mean that Boscobel should be a little further down. I believe it's that different colored area, which, as we'll see when we get a little bit closer, is an ortho photo that Chris Z added to the project to make it a little bit more realistic. Okay, so let's go ahead and come down on the throttle here, and we'll hit the deck. Now, one thing I did notice with this Ultra Rios package that Chris Z came up with, if you look really closely, there's a hotel in the middle of the bay in Ultra Rios. I'm not sure that's there in real life. I mean, it definitely looks unique, but I'm just trying to figure how in the heck the patrons are going to get there. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Okay, we are below gear speed or gear limit speed, so I'm going to kick our throttle up a little bit. We still have the speed brakes out, but I'm going to go ahead and drop the gear real quick. There appears to be a boat that's run aground there. Alright, we are at our flap limit speed, so we'll drop flaps 1 and we'll close the speed brakes. Okay, so unlike the FSX episode that we did, since I want to keep this all one video, it's imperative that we do this as quickly as possible. So we're going to do a touch and go at Boscobel. We are going to swing out to Ken Jones, do the same thing there. We'll do a touch and go, which I believe we did in the FSX episode. And then we will take it down to Kingston. I might forego landing at Norman Manley International and just land at Tinson Pen, so that way we can keep the video relatively short. And by relatively short, I mean between 30 and 40 minutes, because usually that's what I shoot for. It's me. Can't expect a really short video from me. It just doesn't happen. Alright, so far I'm really liking how this is all looking. Let's drop our speed a little bit here. You don't want to drop speed too much in the L-39 because remember, this thing takes 10 seconds for the engine to spool up. So if you drop your speed too much and you're too low, you might have a little bit of problems there. But I do see Boscobel up ahead, so let me make sure that I'm perfectly lined up and we'll bring her in. I should also point out, for those of you who watched my FSX episode where we came into Boscobel, there was a deep precipice leading to the airport itself. Chris Z has since rectified that, so this version of Boscobel that I'm using is the most recent one, which he actually sent me the link to in the comments to the video that I put up last week. So you may want to take a look at that if you're interested in the latest version of his Ultra Rios. That latest version does have this orthophoto that we're currently flying over, as well as all the custom buildings and whatnot that he put in here. And if you look out in the bay, you'll see some yachts and oil tankers and so on. The oil tankers you cannot land on, but if you do have a helicopter and you want to land on one of the yachts that has a helipad, that is a thing. You can do that. And everything transferred over perfectly to Flight Sim World, so this is awesome. This is really good. Alright, let's get ready to do our touch and go. And where did those trees disappear to? Wow, that was interesting. Okay, it is touch and go time, so let's go back to the BelGeode landing cam. Ladies and gentlemen, say welcome and goodbye to Boscobel. Looks like there's a couple building issues there. We'll fix that another time. Alright, we are up Made it through these trees. Let's get some altitude here. And gear up. What? I had to do it. Don't judge me. Alright, next stop, Ken Jones. We'll make it as quick as we can, so I'm going to go ahead and give us full throttle here. Looks like we got plenty enough gas to get to Tins and Pens, so I'm not too worried about it. But I do want to get a little bit more airspeed going. We'll level off at about 3,000 feet, and we'll just basically cruise in from there. And you can see Oraka Bessa below us there. Alright, right here is good. Trim up, baby, trim up. Nothing has changed. The trim on this aircraft is still as squirrely as ever. But that's one of the things that I like about it. I'm not sure if you know, folks, but this is the very first aircraft that I ever showed off on YouTube using any flight simulator, in particular Microsoft FSX Steam. So yeah, the very first flight sim episode that you will find was using this aircraft. And that is also when I introduced you all to Allie. So there you go. She's been there from the beginning. Just couldn't hear her. Alright, quick look outside. We'll take a look at the Blue Mountain, which, thanks to ReShade, is really starting to look blue. I have to say, I really love the changes that DoveTail Games have made in the last couple of packages, or updates I should say. By that I mean the graphical updates that they made with the daylighting and the atmospheric scattering. It looks good. Now, remember, I've got ReShade on, but I'm going to go ahead and turn ReShade off for a second so you can see what it looks like with the current default Flight Sim world. So here we go. Okay, so ReShade is now off. The only difference is the colors look a little bit more washed out. Let's check it from the outside again, just as a comparison. And there's our airport, by the way, so I need to get down. Okay, so yeah, you see the difference that there is without ReShade. I mean, don't get me wrong, it looks great. DoveTail's done a phenomenal job, and from what I've heard, fixing nighttime is one of the major things that's next on the list. So that would be cool when they pull that off as well. But yeah, as far as daytime goes, it's really starting to look good. I quite like this. I would even dare to compare it to DCS World, which of course anyone who's watching this knows I'm a huge fan of DCS World. Alright, let's drop the power just a little bit here. Yes, one of those funky landings that I'm going to have to do here. Alright, I'm going to pull the speed brakes in. Drop a little bit more power, and we'll head outside. But just a personal preference for me, I just love having ReShade on, so we'll go ahead and turn it back on. Big difference there, huh? The colors just pop. They look more vibrant. They look more alive, so to speak. So yeah, if I could make a suggestion to DoveTail, it would be simply that. More graphical options to make the colors pop. That's really it. But honestly, what I'm seeing right here just looks so freaking beautiful. I love it. Absolutely love it. Alright, let's turn around near Port Antonio here, and we'll head over the Blue Mountain and make our way towards Kingston here. I'll probably check the GPS in a second. And man, I really miss my chase plane. I don't like having to use Shift-O to move the camera around, especially with my little mouse stick on the throttle. Alright, let's pop open the GPS. Oh, we are way off course. Okay, that's fine though. I can deal with that. Got this mountain in our way, so we're going to need to get as high as we possibly can to get over it. The altitude that we're at right now is actually good enough for us to get over it, but I'm going to take it up just past this turbulence here. Not a huge fan of turbulence. Alright, kick the power back a little. Okay, and I think we're heading in the right direction, so we'll bring it up to about 9,000. Then we should be good to go. Looks like our wingtip tanks are out of fuel. That's that blue light that you're seeing on my caution and warning panel. Not to worry, we do have plenty. All we have to do is hop over this mountain and take it down to Tinson Pen. We should be good. Okay, we're closing in on about 9,000, so let me trim her down again. There we go. Alright, looking good. Looking good. We'll go back outside to take a look at the mountains as we pass over them. That should be a beautiful sight. That right there is why I love Flight Sim World. The shading on these mountains and everything. That's default. That is not ReShade influencing it. That is actually default. That looks pretty damn good. I've always said I love the artistic direction that DoveTail has taken this sim, and it just shows right here. Okay, our airport is going to be off to that side, if you recall from the FSX video. We will not be landing at Norman Manley International. We're going to pass that up, but we are going to fly over that bay there and pass that dry dock on our way in. Oh, and here's another little thing that happens with the Lotus Sims. Your windshield gets fogged up when you go through clouds. It'll clear up as soon as we go below the cloud deck. But as for me, myself, I think we need to lose a little bit of airspeed and altitude. And here is how I am going to accomplish both. Or as some folks like to call it, a stall recovery after a loop-the-loop. But yeah, we were able to lose a lot of altitude and we lost just about all of our speed. So now all we need to do is just come in on a pattern. So we are at what, 1,400 feet off the deck? Yeah, this should be fine. This is about pattern altitude. Alright, we're going to take it home, folks. Like I said, we're going to Tinson Pen, so that'll be our final stop for today. I think that's a long enough flight for you to really get an idea of just how well ReShade makes Flight Sim World look. Which is not to say that Flight Sim World does not look good on its own. This just puts it over the edge, as far as I'm concerned. And remember, I will keep reminding you, this is my personal preferences as far as the graphical settings that I've got going. Your tastes may vary, but this is what I consider pretty in a flight sim. And especially with the default atmospheric scattering, it just looks so cool. About the only thing missing here is a bit of ortho for XP, but since this is not X-Plane, that's not going to happen. But I can live with Orbix. Yeah, I think I can live with Orbix. It's a beautiful city of Kingston, capital city of Jamaica, looking so sweet. And there's the dry dock, and off to the right of the dry dock is the airport that we are looking for. So we're going to make this as tight a turn as we possibly can to bring us down on that airstrip, Tinson Pen airstrip. Technically, I believe it's called Tinson Pen Aerodrome. But that's splitting hairs. Alright, so we got Spanish Town to the left, and that little hill. I don't know the name of that hill. I feel so bad about that. I do not remember the name of that hill. But then, considering I have not been to Jamaica since like 1987, it's understandable. And I'm not quite sure what's going on with this dry dock here. I call it a dry dock, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a wet dock. It just doesn't look like it, so... little area of opportunity for Mr. Chris Z there. However, I'm glad that he has that in there because that is there in real life. Okay, speed is looking good, so we'll go ahead and drop the gear and flaps real quick. Alright, and I'm turning, but I need to see how far we need to turn in relation to where Tinson Pen is. Let's keep our speed up because we can always use speed brakes. I'm not going to wait 10 seconds to get my speed back. No bueno. Alright, we are on base. Go ahead and straighten up here a little. Right where the airspeed indicator is now, this is pretty much where we want to have it. Incidentally, the airspeed indicator is the upper left corner of that, I guess that would be a 9-pack. Alright, I don't want to overshoot, so let's make our turn now. Okay. The rest, as they say, is all gravy. Don't ask me who says that, but apparently that's what they say. Okay, let's bring this bird in. And we are down. And there's the pop-up again. Seriously, DoveTail, I'm not a fan of the flight log pop-up. Can we please make that like an optional setting somewhere where I could just turn it off? I really don't care how many flight hours I have. I'm not a clock watcher, you know? Alright, but we'll get rid of that. That's my only finger-wagging beef that I have with DoveTail for today, because everything else performed flawlessly. This aircraft imported well. This is PAYWARE, by the way. This is the Lotus Sims L-39. It is PAYWARE for FSX and P3D. It was never designed to be used with Flight Sim World. So, if you do decide to do some mad scientist experiments on your own, be forewarned. It is at your own peril. Do not go yelling to DoveTail, "Why doesn't my flight sim work?" They will not help you. In fact, I don't think they even like me doing this, but that's alright. I'm going to do what I'm going to do because, honestly, I just love playing around in this sim. It's so awesome. Alright, but we are down. Welcome to Tins and Pen. And this is where we're going to call it for the day. It looks like our mad scientist experiment was a rip-roaring success. The Alba performed perfectly. Chris Z's airports rendered perfectly. Well, with the exception of that Cessna that's sticking out in front of the building there. I don't know what's up with that. And of course, ReShade with MasterEffect makes Flight Sim World look next level. I love it. Absolutely love it. Alright, well that will do it for me. So thank you as always for joining me. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in DoveTail Games Flight Sim World, which is fast becoming one of my favorite little platforms here. I'm still going to wag my finger at you though. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe. Anything that you are interested in taking a closer look at, links to it will be in the video description below. And remember, don't try this at home, kids. This is my mad scientist experiments here, so be forewarned. Alrighty, folks. BelGeode signing out. I am out of here. I will talk to you all really soon with another mad science experiment. Ciao!